W is the 23rd letter in the ISO Basic Latin alphabet. History. The sound of classical Latin developed into a bilabial fricative between vowels in early medieval Latin. Therefore, a var no longer represented adequately the labial velar approximant sound of Germanic phonology. The Germanic phoneme was therefore written as a vva or a by the 7th or 8th century by the earliest writers of Old English and Old High German. Gothic, by contrast, simply used a letter based on the Greek in for the same sound. The digraph a/a was also used in medieval Latin to represent Germanic names, including Gothic ones like Wamba. It is from this a digraph that the modern name W derives. The digraph was commonly used in the spelling of Old High German, but only sporadically in Old English, where the sound was usually represented by the runic a win. In early Middle English, following the 11th century Norman conquest, a gained popularity and by 1300 it had taken win's place in common use. Scribal realization of the digraph could look like a pair of verses whose branches crossed in the middle. An obsolete, cursive form found in the 19th century in both English and German was in the form of an N whose rightmost branch curved around as in a cursive V. The shift from the digraph a vva to the distinct ligature a was thus gradual, and is only apparent in abecedaria, explicit listings of all individual letters. It was probably considered a separate letter by the 14th century in both Middle English and Middle German orthography, although it remained an outsider not really considered part of the Latin alphabet proper, as expressed by Valentin Eckelschema in the 16th century, who complained that poor W is so infamous and unknown that many barely know either its name or its shape, not those who aspire to being Latinists, as they have no need of it, nor do the Germans, not even the schoolmasters, know what to do with it or how to call it. Some call it we. Others call it you. The Swabians call it our way. In Middle High German, the West Germanic phoneme became realized as b. This is why the German a today represents that sound. There is no phonological distinction between w and b in contemporary German. Modern German dialects generally have only b or e for West Germanic, but w or I remains heard allophonically for w, especially in the clusters a schwa a schwa and a que. Some Bavarian dialects preserve a light initial, w, in words like was. The classical Latin, I² is heard in the Southern German greeting service. In Dutch, it became a labiodental approximant. In many Dutch-speaking areas, such as Flanders and Suriname, the pronunciation is used at all times. Usage. In Europe, there are only a few languages that use W in native words and all are located in a central Western European zone between Cornwall and Poland. English, German, Low German, Dutch, Frisian, Welsh, Cornish, Breton, Walloon, Polish, Kashubian, Sorbian and Riesian use W in native words. English uses W to represent, German, Polish and Kashubian use it for the voiced labiodental fricative, and Dutch uses it for or. Unlike its use in other languages, the letter is used in Welsh and Cornish to represent the vowel as well as the related approximant consonant. English also contains a number of words beginning with a W that is silent in most dialects before a R, remaining from usage in Anglo-Saxon in which the W was pronounced, reek, rap, wreck, wrench, roth, wrinkle, etc. In the International Phonetic Alphabet, is used for the voiced labial velar approximant, probably based on English. In Finnish, a was seen as a variant of a var and not a separate letter. It is however recognized and maintained in the spelling of some old names, reflecting an earlier German spelling standard, and in some modern loan words. In all cases it is pronounced. In Danish, Norwegian and Swedish, a is named double V and not W. In these languages, the letter only exists in old names, loan words and foreign words. It is usually pronounced, but in some words of English origin it may be pronounced. The letter was officially introduced in the Danish and Swedish alphabets as late as 1980 and 2006, respectively, despite having been in use for much longer. It was recognized since the conception of modern Norwegian, with the earliest official orthography rules of 1907. A euro was earlier seen as a variant of a euro, and a euro as a letter is still commonly replaced by a euro in speech. The two letters were sorted as equals before a euro was officially recognized, and that practice that is still recommended when sorting names in Sweden. In modern slang, some native speakers may pronounce a euro more closely to the origin of the loanword than the official pronunciation. In the alphabets of most modern Romance languages, W is used mostly in foreign names and words recently borrowed. The digraph U is used for native French words. Ois or oines. In Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, W is a non-syllabic variant of spelled U. In the Cyrillic alphabet used for the Belarusian language, a euro is pronounced like English. The Japanese language uses W, pronounced, as an ideogram meaning double. In Arabic, W is transliterated using the penultimate letter of the alphabet, U. In Italian, while the letter W is not considered part of the standard Italian alphabet, the character is often used in place of viva, while the same symbol written upside down indicates a basso. In Vietnamese, W is called va P, from the French double va copyright. It is not included in the standard Vietnamese alphabet, but it is often used as a substitute for common literary dialect and very informal writing. W is also the symbol for the chemical element tungsten, after its German name, Wolfram. Name: W is the only English letter name with more than one syllable, except for the occasionally used, though somewhat archaic, angstrom, the formerly common imprint and the archaic pronunciation of Z, izard. The initialism www for the World Wide Web thus, perhaps ironically, has 3 times as many syllables as the full name. Some speakers therefore shorten the name W into dub only. For example, University of Wisconsin, University of Washington, University of Wyoming, and University of Western Australia are all known colloquially as UW, and the automobile company Volkswagen, abbreviated VW, is sometimes pronounced VW. The fact that many website URLs still require a www prefix has likewise given rise to a shortened version of the original, 3-syllable pronunciation. W is currently the only English letter whose name is not pronounced with any of the sounds that the letter typically makes. Many others, however, pronounce the W as W, reducing it to 2 syllables. For example, www would be 6 syllables rather than 9, being pronounced www. In other Germanic languages, including German, its name is similar to that of English V. In many languages, its name literally means double V. Spanish double V, French double var copyright, Icelandic var paragraph for alt vaf, Czech dvojita copyright var copyright, Finnish kaksois V, etc. George W. Bush has been given the nickname Dubier, after the colloquial pronunciation of the name of W in Texas. Computing codes, one also for encodings based on ASCII, including the DOS, Windows, ISO 8859 and Macintosh families of encodings. Other representations. See also, voiced labio-velar approximant, WH, IPermil, notes. References. External links, the dictionary definition of W at Wiktionary, the dictionary definition of W at Wiktionary.